Did you know that Florida's median home price has skyrocketed by 300% in the last 2 decades? A shocking statistic indeed. Over the past 20 years, Florida's housing market has experienced an exponential increase in prices, far surpassing the national average. This trend is clearly illustrated by data and charts. In the early 2000s, a Floridian could purchase a median-priced home for approximately $100,000. Fast forward to 2024 and that same home would set you back a staggering $300,000. This isn't just a simple case of inflation. The national average home price increase over the same period is just under 100%. This means Florida's housing prices have tripled while the rest of the country's prices have merely doubled. So what does this mean for the average Floridian? This drastic increase in prices, far outpacing income growth, is what's making the Florida housing market increasingly unaffordable for the average citizen. But what are the forces driving this surge in Florida's housing market? Let's dig into the data. Firstly, we must consider the immense population growth Florida has experienced in recent years. In the past decade, Florida's population has grown by more than 2 million, a rate faster than the national average. This growth in population has led to an increasing demand for housing, while the supply remains relatively static. When demand outstrips supply, prices naturally rise. With more people vying for the same number of homes, sellers can command higher prices. This is basic economics, and it's a significant factor behind the escalating costs of homeownership in Florida. But population growth and demand-supply dynamics are not the only culprits. Climate change also plays a significant role. Rising sea levels and increased frequency of extreme weather events have made certain areas of Florida less desirable for living. Consequently, the available land for new housing developments is shrinking. This further intensifies the supply-demand imbalance and pushes prices up. Lastly, we cannot ignore the role of real estate speculation. Investors, both domestic and international, have been flocking to Florida's real estate market, attracted by its rapid growth and high potential returns. These speculators often buy properties not to live in, but to sell later at a profit. The result? Even higher housing prices, as these investors are willing to pay more, driving up the market values. These 4 factors: population growth, demand-supply imbalance, climate change, and real estate speculation, together create a perfect storm that drives up housing prices in Florida. They feed off each other, creating a cycle that's hard to break. For example, as housing prices rise due to speculation, more people might be attracted to invest, which further drives up prices. Similarly, as climate change makes certain areas less habitable, the remaining desirable areas become even more expensive, exacerbating the demand-supply imbalance. As we can see, the issue of unaffordability is a complex one driven by multiple intertwined factors. The numbers tell a story, but behind these statistics is a human impact that's even more profound. Let's take a moment to consider the human side of this housing crisis. The average Floridian who dreams of owning a home is facing a daunting financial strain. The soaring costs of homeownership are not just about dollars and cents, they are about dreams deferred and futures placed on hold. Consider this: the widening wealth gap in Florida is not a random occurrence, but rather a direct result of the housing crisis. Data shows that the inability to afford a home is exacerbating social inequality, creating a chasm between those who own property and those who don't. This is not a matter of mere economics, it's a matter of social justice, of creating a level playing field for all Floridians. The housing crisis is not just about economics, it's about people's lives and futures. So, can Florida's housing market be fixed? The answer is yes, but it requires concerted effort and smart policy. Let's discuss potential solutions that could help alleviate the housing crisis. One of the most direct ways is through affordable housing initiatives. These programs are designed to provide homes for those who can't afford the market rate. They can come in the form of subsidized housing, rent-controlled apartments, or even tax credits for developers who build affordable units. In places like San Francisco and New York, these initiatives have shown potential in easing housing burdens for lower-income residents. Another avenue to explore is zoning reform. Many of Florida's cities are bound by zoning laws that restrict the construction of multifamily units, contributing to the shortage of affordable homes. By relaxing these rules, we could see more diverse housing options, from duplexes to apartment buildings. This has been the case in Minneapolis, where zoning reform led to a 20% increase in multifamily housing permits. Finally, let's talk about curbing real estate speculation. This is a phenomenon where investors buy properties with the intention of selling them for a profit rather than living in them. This activity tends to drive up prices and makes homes unaffordable for many. Measures such as taxing vacant homes or implementing a speculation tax could discourage this behavior. In Vancouver, Canada, a speculation tax has reportedly slowed the rate of house price growth. To be clear, there's no one-size-fits-all solution. Each of these strategies comes with its own set of challenges and trade-offs, but they offer a starting point for a conversation about how we can make Florida's housing market more accessible to all its residents. Remember, housing is more than just a commodity, it's a fundamental human right. It's where families are raised, communities are built, and memories are made, and everyone deserves a place to call home. With the right policies and public will, there's hope for a more affordable housing market in Florida. The Florida housing market crisis is a pressing issue that requires immediate attention. Over the course of this discussion, we've delved deep into the numbers, revealing the stark reality of the situation. We've explored the factors that have driven the surge in prices, from increased demand to inadequate supply, and the human impact of these escalating costs. Yet, despite the apparent grimness of the situation, we've also examined the potential for change. With strategic policies and concerted efforts, the tide can be turned. By increasing the supply of affordable housing, implementing stricter regulations on property speculation, and providing more support for first-time buyers, we can make strides towards remedying this crisis. The journey to a more affordable housing market in Florida will not be easy. It will be a complex and arduous task. But the potential rewards are great. Together, we can work towards a future where owning a home in Florida is once again within reach for the average citizen.